there, Helldivers! So the announcement for the new Warbond just now dropped, called Masters of Ceremony, and if you're a student of history, you'll notice one thing right off the bat. It seems to be a callback or a salute to World War I. Now, I am doing this without a script. I woke up at 5 in the morning to try to make sure that I would get the very latest for you guys, so I do apologize if it's a little bit rambling. I'll try to be concise. So, I mean, right off, it gives us a scene of trench warfare, and then I kind of laughed a bit when it was zooming in to the helmet, reminiscent, of course, of the Kaiser's army back in the day. Now, of course, there's another theme layered on here, right? It's in the title, celebration, and this is very likely in, being jubilant and celebrating or memorializing the fact that the Illuminate have been defeated. I mean, this is even really driven home with the capes. You know, we have a cape of Super Earth, that kind of music. Espousing victory over the hated enemies of Super Earth. Okay, so let's dive a little deeper into the crunch. And by crunch, I mean weapons and stratagems, boosters, throwables, kind of the stuff that might affect your loadout going forward. So first of all, we have the R2 armament. Again, it's a marksman rifle. And I gotta say, I'm just not as super jazzed about that right now, even though we don't know much about it. And that's namely because, having done dozens and dozens and dozens of loadout videos already for Helldivers 2, I'll say that the category of marksman rifles doesn't have a really fun niche. At least the Deadeye does let you one-shot overseers with a headshot, which is great. And if you're kind of playing a little bit more of a sniper against the bots, it does have a little bit of an area, but other weapons kind of do that better against the bots. So unless the major update that will hopefully be coming here in the middle of May either redoes the category or introduces enemies in which that niche is more applicable, then perhaps that'll be something to get more excited about. Now, of course, we also have the secondary weapon, the QCQ2 Saber. Cool. I love the drip of that. I think it's going to make my Space Knight fantasy loadouts a lot more fun. But again, we have dedicated melee weapons already. We have the combat hatchet, the stun baton, we have the lance. So it'll be interesting to see if this is unique in any way or if it's really just a skin. Okay, so up next we have the CQC1 One True Flag, which is listed as a stratagem. Now, we do see it being used in melee in the trailer, but since it's listed as an actual stratagem, I'm hoping that it has some other additional effect. Maybe it boosts allies, health or fire rate or something, or maybe it's a self boost. Something, right? We don't know what it does beyond being used as a spear, so I guess we'll have to wait on that, but I do hope it's gonna be something. Okay, so we also have a new booster called Sample Scanner. Now, at first I thought, based on the name, it was going to be something like, whatever samples you have on the map, it actually reveals it there on your mini-map, or maybe when you pinged the map, it would show if there's any samples there. But on a brief message that I saw on Discord, it's been taken down now, I don't know why, it seems like what this booster gives you is a 15% chance to double the sample that you just pick up. Now, of course, as a veteran who's been topped off on samples for a very long time, I'm not as excited about this. Here's hoping that when this update does land in the middle of May, there's a new sync. There's a sample sync, right? There's a new thing to spend samples on, in which then this might be, for people like me, perhaps more interesting. Okay, so the last bit here to cover are the armor sets. We have what seems to be a light and a medium, the light being the parade commander and the medium honorary guard. And from what I've been able to gather in the Discord, the passive is going to be a reduction of limb damage. I think a less chance that your limbs can be damaged. It just seems to be a spin of what we've already seen before, in this case specifically servo assisted, which gives 50% additional limb health. So if that is the case, I will say that, again, I'm just not overly enthused about that passive if that does end out to be the one that we're going to get. So I'm looking at the Discord right now as I'm recording this, and I'll tell you that the sentiment seems to be, at least from the people that are putting all these posts up, pretty negative. Again, as far as the level of new content, how innovative it is, how interesting it could be in loadouts. It's something that at least right now does not seem to be well received. Okay, now look, in Arrowhead's defense, I think where a lot of this perhaps letdown is coming from is that very brief conversation I had with Shams a little while ago where I was asking on the official Discord, can we have some sense of what's coming down the pipeline, right? And that's where he famously answered, you'll your pants. Now, that was in relation to the major update that we're expecting in the middle of May, not the Warbond. So I wonder if people were thinking that this big hoopla, that this big major release was going to be related to the Warbond, and that's where, you know, Shams was intending his comment to resonate to. And I don't think that was the case. It was the major update, not the Warbond. If you're interested in my opinion, I think what this Warbond really offers more than anything is drip, right? And we've seen cases in which drip sells. Now, as someone who has done, you know, countless loadouts, unless that one true flag stratagem really kind of does something interesting, I'm not really seeing anything that could be a game changer or anything that might be an interesting avenue to explore in the core gameplay loop. I'll reserve judgment when this lands and to see if maybe that update that we get in the middle of May shake things up enough to make some of this stuff more interesting. Well, that's all that I have right now, Helldivers. I will keep you posted, and do keep in mind that we're going to have that Singularity Party on the 13th. Hopefully that is the beginning of a new narrative arc. For now, I will see you all on the battlefield. Happy diving, y'all.